Hello everyone, TR2000 here, and tomorrow, if you don't know, is an unofficial holiday in the Thomas community. It is May 5th, which if you look at it either way is a 5/5, which is the unofficial James holiday. So I figured I'd show you my many Jameses. This isn't even all of them. This is just the wooden railway ones. And this isn't even all of the Jameses I have. I have a bunch of unmodified Jameses, including my first James, which is sacred. Anyways, so let us begin the custom review showcase, I call it. You can call it whatever you want. So we'll go a quick review over the standard boy. The standard James. With him, he was probably my second custom done. This James was my second modification when it came to the accurate wheels. I have redone him a little bit, but not too much. I want to raise the boiler a little bit. I've reviewed him already, but just this solo James. Not too much. James, I would say I have the most variations of. Yeah, so blue and gold lining, not too much to say. This James is done, review-wise. We'll do Winston last, because he's not technically James, but people think he's like a pre-James. So we'll do Royal James. So this James I did, I was like, hey, I wonder what James would look like if he was to pull the Queen for a month or two. So here we are. James has his number on his cab, and he has the Queen's crest on his tender. I'm not British at all, so I had to look it up. The British will be like, oi, governor, you're supposed to know. No, I don't. I put a Union Jack on his roof, like Austin Powers, because I figured I like those movies. I figured it'd be funny. I gave him a nice tall golden dome, maybe a little too tall. Yeah, his dome is too tall, just like his funnel. I need to shorten those when I have some time. If you notice, I did partially streamline him. I gave him some partial streamlining, because I figured he wanted to go a little faster. I gave him a golden buffer beam with purple lining, because purple is the royal color. He still does have the gold, because it's James. He wouldn't be James without his gold. If you look at the back, it does say NWR. Yeah, this James. He does have the red front buffer beam still, though. Yeah, it's different. He is the only other red-themed James I have. The other two are both black. So he is a nice mix to have in the bag. So we'll just put him back. I guess next we'll do BR James next. So this boy, just like Royal James, I was like, hey, I wonder what James looks like in BR. As you can tell, I did a very terrible lion. I'll just do British Railways next time. This was one of the first Jameses I did. That wasn't the main James, that boy. He was the first one. I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this. I did 4475 because I made this during the 75th anniversary of the Railway series. So I'm like, I'm going to have it end in 75 just because. If I was to go back, I'd make the wheel arches bigger. They're kind of small, it's up way too far. Nothing too special about this boy. He does have the number on both sides. I didn't get lazy and just not do one side. All of them that way. I would go back and neaten this guy up a little bit, raise the boiler. Yeah, just a standard BR James. I'll have, if I'm doing shots on the other railway or back during the old days, I'll have this guy in the background. Not too much else to say about him. But then for the one I will get the most hate for. Well, not most hate, but look at a little bit. My LMS James. Yes, I have an LMS James. First day Soto James. He does have an angry face. This was the Busy Bee James. Because I was not a fan of the model. I was like, this is stupid. So I repainted him, repurposed him into a LMS James. I decided to keep the mad face on him though. As he was, he was derailed, angry at the truck. So that's why he has a scolding face. I can use him in scenes before that. Let's say he met Gordon or Henry before his crash, got mad at them. Now with this James, I also do have a second tender. I guess you could apply it to the BR James too. There's a second tender. A just plain black tender. So let's say he came from the Yorkshire Lakeshire instead of the LMS. Then there is the black tender. Simple. I might give it some red lining, but this is a tender I use for several things. It is a James tender, as you can tell. Nothing too complicated. And then the non-James here, but James's brother, as you call him. I like to think they're brothers. Is Winston. This guy is basically just red James with red wheels. I have an NWR in his cab and black lining because James is the only boy that gets the blue and gold. For me, Winston was one of the first engines. He came with Edward from the Furnace. I don't know if I'd call them brothers since they're from different railways. They have similar designs. I might modify him so he's not exactly the same as James. The wheels I had to paint. The face, as I'm sure you can tell, is an Arthur face. I'll just clear that up a little bit. It is an Arthur face. Nothing too much. I just paint the wheels. I might change him up, make him a little different, make him more furnace railway-y. So I'll explain it quickly how I made these guys. Well, I'll use regular James, I guess. So these I went to Lowe's. They have the rounded wood. I just cut it in half with a razor blade. I used the same wood for the boiler. And then I sawed the old boiler down around the dome so I could just pull it out, cut it with a razor blade. If you remove the nail that is holding the firebox to the boiler, you can adjust the funnel. So you can have it as tall or as short as you want. I like a little height for James's funnel. For the running board, you can just use a flatbed you have laying around, extend it, and a push along black wheel. And that's really it. Paint your James and you're done. He's a very simple custom that I would recommend for beginners. He's more, I wouldn't say he's the easiest, but he's one of the easiest because it's just extending and replacing a boiler. Really just remove the boiler, pull it up a little bit, and put a new one in. And that's really it. My 5 Jameses on May 5th. 5 Jameses. Fitting with the number 5. And that's really all I can say. Yeah. TR2000 signing off, and thank you for watching.